Hello my dear friends, welcome back to another Star Wars video. It is I coming at you once again, your favourite galactic hostess, Star Wars Meg. And oh boy, today we have a very fun news update. Lucasfilm might seriously be considering the return of Mace Windu, and we also have some amazing news concerning Revenge of the Sith's 20th anniversary. But first, Star Wars TV is in a rough place. That's been the case for Andor Season 1, The Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, and now unfortunately the first 3 episodes of Andor Season 2. I've seen a lot of criticism, fans saying it's nothing like the first season, that it's too self-indulgent, that it's too much of a slow burn. I don't know, I personally loved it. I see where Tony Gilroy's going, and I think we have to be patient. The reviewers did say the first 3 episodes are the weakest arc, but I still maintain everything quality-wise, dialogue-wise, cinematography-wise is really top-notch. But very few seem to care. Unfortunately, my dear friends, just like Skeleton Crew, which was an all-time low, Andor Season 2 episodes 1 to 3 could not chart on Variety's rankings. We have to wait for more viewing data, we'll have to see week after week if things improve, but at the moment, Lucasfilm must be celebrating they were able to reduce 5 seasons down to 2, because it's persistent, continued diminishing returns. I'm gonna say this again, Star Wars needs a new movie. And as you're gonna see later in the video when we talk about Revenge of the Sith's 20th anniversary, the franchise isn't dead, it's just in a very, very tough spot. The first 3 episodes didn't even chart. But speaking of the show, Tony Gilroy's given more interviews. He's defended the controversial Bix moment, but he's also addressed potential cameos this season. There might be 1 or 2, but no Vader and no Palpatine. And he reveals he considered Palpatine for season 2, but he's too big of a character, and he didn't want to mess him up. As for Vader, he thinks the character is too limiting, and while I disagree, I don't think Tony Gilroy's the right person to write Vader. So I guess Dedra Meero is not going to be choked. That scene from the trailer is an anxiety attack, probably because of what they're about to do to Gorman. Lots more Andor to discuss in the coming days, and I'm so excited for Tuesday. But moving on, my dear friends, fans around the world are celebrating the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. It's back in cinemas, and it's breaking all kinds of records. Star Wars fans can't get enough of what is arguably the best Star Wars prequel movie. And if you attended El Capitan Theatre Hollywood, there were 2 special guests who made their way onto the stage, Samuel L. Jackson and Hayden Christensen. Sam Jackson loves Star Wars, he's a big part of this universe, and we know he's desperate to return as Mace Windu. He's been insisting since 2005 Mace survived the fall in episode 3. George Lucas agrees, and so do I. I've made a ton of videos explaining my reasoning, a few theories, and the problems, if this is true. How Mace Windu's death was symbolic, how it might undermine Anakin's arc, how he'd be very old in the Mandoverse, and the question is where was he during the Galactic Civil War? There are definitely some naysayers, but I think it'd be like a Luke Skywalker moment from Mando Season 2. The fandom would be talking, there would be so much buzz, it would be such a spoken about topic. And here you have Samuel L. Jackson still waving the purple lightsaber, begging to come back. He's been saying it for years. And today, my dear friends, we have a massive revelation from Bryce Dallas Howard. If you remember, she was the one Samuel L. Jackson went to and asked if he could be in The Mandalorian. But now Bryce reveals Lucasfilm have already had those conversations, but she didn't say how they went. She went straight to Dave Filoni and asked him, do you think we could bring Mace Windu back? But she doesn't finish the story. She doesn't say how Dave Filoni responded. That could be a good sign. Let's take a look at what she said.
Sam Jackson has been incredibly supportive of me and has told me many times that he would act in something that I directed. I'm not worthy, basically. and then I went straight to Dave Filoni and I was like, so let's just talk about Mace Windu and where he is. Because is he dead? Is he? Yeah.
So a couple of things I noticed. Bryce seems very confident in that conversation. Do you know what I mean? She doesn't seem like the conversation went bad. She doesn't follow up or preface it with, well, you know, Dave liked the idea at first, but we can't do it. Sorry, Bryce. She seems pretty confident. And the way she says Samuel L. Jackson has told her many times, I think eventually Lucasfilm should listen. That's my take. I know some of you guys really hate this. You think dead characters should stay dead. But if you're a fan of the comics, especially the expanded universe, you have Jedi who appear many, many, many years after their deaths, and they survived Order 66, they were thought to be dead, maybe they suffered a fate where it seemed like they died, but they were in exile, and they were in hiding. There are even some characters who did survive the Jedi Purge, but they were never followed up on. If they do decide to bring Mace back, there has to be a blimming phenomenal explanation. They have to make it work. They need to answer, where did he go? Did he suffer amnesia? Did he lay low for a while? Did he turn to the dark side? Did he switch allegiances? Did he not want revenge over Vader and Palpatine? Or did he give up on the fight? And by the way, if you think that's a reason he shouldn't be back, just look at a character like Ahsoka. Fans still don't know the full extent of where she was in the original trilogy. The most likely answer is that she was stuck on Malachor, but Lucasfilm seemed to avoid this question. Obviously, the real-world answer is that she wasn't created yet when the original trilogy came out, but considering the exploration of the Mandoverse, the retrospective inclusions in the canon timeline, they do need to provide some answers. So if Mace Windu does appear as an old man post-Andor, they will need to explain where he's been. But I have to say, I love Bryce Dallas Howard's confidence. And whether it's her work on Mando, Book of Boba Fett, Skeleton Crew, you guys know I think she's a top-notch director. She deserves to direct a Star Wars movie, and if she ends up being the one to direct Mace Windu's return, I think that's going to be something very special. Fingers crossed. I generally don't like the resurrection of dead characters, but Mace to me is an exception. There are so many ways he could have survived, crawled off Coruscant, been presumed dead, and gone down a different path, hiding from the Empire. And if George Lucas thinks it's possible, then to me that's enough. And I also really want this for Sam Jackson's sake. He keeps pushing. Okay, so while we're in a prequel mood, let's see how the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith is performing at the box office. It is set to score a shocking upset, and this really proves what I've always suspected. Star Wars will not die as long as there are fans who keep it alive. And I'm not just talking about the newer stuff. When it comes to George Lucas's 6-part saga, the original and prequel trilogies, fans always show up. Fans will always spend their money on good Star Wars. Nostalgia is a big part of it, but also the genius of these incredible films. And I have to say, as a fan of the prequel trilogy, I have visible happiness all over my face. That being said, it has caused a bit of a stir on social media, and it reminded me, prequel hate is still a thing in 2025. I thought we were done with it. I thought that was so 2005. But it turns out no. As much as fans have been celebrating the 20th anniversary, there are also those who say they refuse to go see it. And I don't just mean because they don't align Disney's pockets, but because they hate the movie and they hate the prequel trilogy. I get it, Star Wars is very subjective. There are fans who just like the original trilogy and don't like the prequels, but I think even when they're bad, they have a charm. Even in spite of the cringe dialogue in Attack of the Clones, even in spite of Jar Jar Binks' humour in The Phantom Menace, they're amazing stories, and they're always so fun. So I think this is a massive win. And of all people to comment on this, as Andor Season 2 is streaming at the moment, Tony Gilroy chimed in on the fandom. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. If you love this thing, then the more variety the better. You can't talk about the Star Wars community. It's not a monolithic thing at all. There's 25 different versions in there. And he's right. Whether it's prequel fans, sequel fans, original trilogy fans, Clone Wars fans, Expanded Universe fans, there are all these different factions. Of course, there are many of us who love a lot of it, and not just one era. But he's right. There are different communities. But one thing that made me very happy to learn is Tony Gilroy is a Skeleton Crew fan. He loved it, and so did I. But returning to Revenge of the Sith, it's breaking all kinds of records for a re-release. The movie earned $3.4 million from Thursday previews, and with $20 million in pre-sales, it may open between 27 and 30 million this weekend. And that's just North America. It's also in Europe and here in the UK. All I can say is, this is where the fun begins. But what do you guys think? If you enjoyed this video, my dear friends, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new, check me out on socials, and may the Force be with you, always.